Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am in love with that color. That is so beautiful on you.
Thank you. We're all kind of grasping the last of the warm weather.
We're trying to hold on to it, but it's gorgeous on you. Greg, how are you today?
Fabulous.
Love your tie. Oh my gosh,
Thank you.
It's just so good to see both
She
of
didn't
you.
say she loves your voice.
No.
I love the songs. I love the singing. Very, very nice. Well, I am so excited about today's show because obviously, through the years that we've been together, we talk a lot about one very important thing, planning for retirement. And obviously, so many people make this significant decision all the time. But my question is, how does someone really know that they're ready to retire, both the emotional aspect and the financial aspect?
Yeah, so the emotional aspect, I think, is not talked about as much as it should be. And, there's the stigma. I'm sure we could have a long, drawn-out conversation about the stigma of emotional discussions with men and things like that. And just from our own research of all the families we meet with on a week-in and week-out basis, you don't consider that as much as being something that, so when you're working, if I meet you and I say, hi, my name is, and you say your name, typically the next thing is what you do for a living. That defines you.
Yeah.
And so now you're talking about taking away the thing that defines you in a lot of times, and it's not always, but sometimes, and putting that aside. I'm no longer the CEO of X company. I'm no longer a lawyer. I'm no longer, a factory manager, whatever it is, you're not that thing anymore. And so now you have to find something else to define you.
Yeah.
And that becomes a difficult thing. And I think that emotional side of it kind of adds to the anxiety of the financial side.
That makes sense.
So you mean becoming a honey-do list completer is not...
Well, and that's what we probably see the most tension with families.
That's true.
Because then now you've got two head of households in the actual house. And in a lot of cases, and it's been sometimes the female, sometimes the male in a husband and wife team, but a lot of times there's this tension that starts coming up when
they're home for the
and they both think they're in charge, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and what fool thinks he's in charge? I mean, come on. but we have a family that he was a plant manager.
Yeah.
A big deal. And
he thought he was a big deal at home, too.
Yeah. And
his wife told us.
So he comes in and, after he retires, and he said, I come home and I'm looking around the kitchen. I'm thinking, gosh, it could be a lot more efficient than the way she has it set up right now.
True story.
So while she's gone, he's thinking he's going to be this big hero. He's going to really make her kitchen efficient. Yeah. So now he does consulting.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
He got kicked out.
Well,
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
And all jokes aside, that's one way I was going to discuss of how to kind of reinvent yourself in retirement. Just because you're retiring from the thing that made you money, and even if it fulfilled you, now you might say, okay, what are the hobbies I wanted to do? For instance, I like to talk about how much I love photography. I didn't really ever want to do it for a living. And, even when I did do it on the side, it didn't really make enough for the time that it costs to do it as a hobby. But so many people will reinvent themselves in retirement and say, okay, this is the thing that I really enjoy. Let me figure out how to make it a side gig or side hustle is what they call it now, right?
Yes.
And make a little extra money in retirement and enjoy it, and it becomes a write-off. I'm thinking specifically of a client we have who really enjoyed horses and traveling. Those are her two things. So she figured out, and this is before she became a client of ours, she figured out how to make that a job that she enjoyed to do. So she retired from her career, and then she bought horses, and then she started selling them across the country. So she would take the horses to deliver them to the buyers.
Wow.
And get to travel and write off that expense. Her accountant had it all set up so that she could make it a viable write-off, and she could do both things and not have to pay anything really from it. So there's all kinds of things you can do to reinvent yourself in retirement.
There really are. I mean, and the hardest thing for people, though, is being on the same page sometimes. And
Sure.
I'm thinking of a couple it's been probably almost a year now they've been with us. But he was 63 when they came in, and she was 56, and he had a high stress level job. So he's like, okay, at 65, Greg, I am out of there. I mean, he's counting the days.
Okay.
His wife, 56, is loving her job, but she works for the state, and she had to work till 62 to maximize her pension dollars. So she's like, well, I've got 6 more years, because she's only 56 years old. I've got 6 more years, and he's only got 2. That means there's 4 years where I'm going to work, and he's not. And that kind of bothered her.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, okay, I don't have 6 more years in me. Of course, they wanted to snowbird. They wanted to, you know, do all those things and travel. They had grandkids in California. They wanted to travel and spend a month of the year out there. But none of those can be accomplished till she retires. So they're, you know, we're working on that and trying to help them both feel good about the fact she has to work 6 more years. And then it's all about understanding the plan because, okay, they had saved really well. She was going to have a nice pension. He was going to have a really nice Social Security. They were still going to need, though, about $60,000 a year to kind of match what they were used to spending. So we had to create that income plan. And that took a while because it took a while for them to both agree how much they were going to need. You know, because he was thinking, oh, I can cut this and I can cut that. And she's like, I don't want to cut anything.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to probably want to do more. So we had to really zero in on that and get that down, create a plan they both understood and they both felt comfortable with.
Making sure they are both in alignment, if you will.
Yes.
Well, Greg, I know that you and Kristen have a very special offer to present to our viewers at home today. Let's spend some time talking about what that is before we open the phone lines.
Well, I want to offer today our complete planning review because it's just that. We want to take inventory of where you stand when it comes to your risk versus return. That's your investments. The income you're going to need to last the rest of your life. Taxes moving forward, making sure that you're okay there, that you've got a plan in place. Or just Uncle Sam's plan is, hey, just wait till you're 73 right now and we're going to tax everything you take out and it's probably going to cause you to pay tax on your Social Security and other things like that, your health care plan and whatever's left over. Let's get it to the people you love, not to the attorneys, not to the probate court, not to Uncle Sam. We want it to be your family's money. But do you have a written plan? Do you have all those things in place? Do you have the fiduciary advisor that's in your corner pulling for you because they'll do better when you do better? Well, we're offering that the first 10 callers right now, a custom written plan for you and your family, no cost. And by the way, no obligation. Just give us a call right now, 614-336-7660.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number, 614-336-7660. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have the retirement of your dreams. Why not take advantage of this complimentary consultation, this beautifully written retirement plan that's going to benefit you and your family, those you love? Again, the number is 614-336-7660. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor. We'll be right back momentarily.
Your retirement plan should never be about a transaction. It should always be about a relationship.
I would describe Greg as a very caring person. I'm not just talking about, retirement planning or even our practice. I mean, in general, he has a genuine heart for people.
Well, obviously, I'm married to the most wonderful, beautiful woman in the world, Kristen.
What you can expect from us is a warm family atmosphere.
I mean, they walk into the room, it just lights the room. They're each other's partner in crime. They work really well together and they keep us happy, and we're just like a tight little family here.
Family is obviously the reason we do everything, the reason we do what we do.
What we do is centered around our family. Our staff is like our family too.
We laugh so much in this office.
I love coming to work every single day and spending time with everybody that's in the office.
I like to say that we have a fun office environment.
There's never a dull moment.
Best bosses in the world. I just love my job.
They create a great work-life balance here.
You really have to like the person that you're asking to help you manage your money.
And this is going to be a long relationship. Retirement could last as long as your working years.
So I've been working with retirees now since 1993, helping them create plans and strategies to get through retirement. We believe a retirement-focused portfolio should be true to your goals with as little risk as possible.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. A great show we're having today, talking about planning properly for retirement. But I believe what I heard you say in the last segment is that it's more about not just the money is what I'm trying to say. English version.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just the money. But when you break that down just a little bit, what happens when the money just doesn't quite add up? What happens, Greg?
Well, you know what they say, when you're out of money, you're out of options. So we don't want anybody to be out of money in retirement. So the first thing that we think is valuable for people is to evaluate what they've saved.
Yeah.
In a couple of different ways. And one way, do you have a retirement-focused portfolio? There's lots of portfolios out there, and there's lots of philosophies about and structures. So there's a philosophy about, okay, I can just buy something, hold on to it, and it'll grow over time. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. However, the function of it works differently when you're just allowing it to grow for 5, 10, 15, 20 years versus if you need to tap into it for income. And that can have a much different outcome when you're taking withdrawals.
Okay.
So a retirement-focused portfolio is one that takes all that into account. So now we're not necessarily, hitting for the fences. If it's a baseball term, and the players that swing for the fences trying to hit those home runs, they typically strike out a lot.
Okay.
And portfolios that we're trying to get those big 20, 30, 40% returns when things are really great, are the ones that can go down 20, 30, 40% when things aren't going so great. So the portfolio focus really needs to be on retirement. So we need to determine whether or not that's the case, and we test it to do that. The second part is, have we saved enough to fill our gap? And what I mean by that is how much we expect to be able to spend in retirement versus how much income we will have coming in.
Okay.
Whatever that gap is, have we saved enough to fill that gap?
And not just daily living costs. I think we
No.
pointed that out before, but travel, things that you're going to want to do, not assuming that you're going to spend less, but actually getting a real number, being honest about the number.
Yeah.
Because if you assume you're going to spend less, you're going to have a miserable retirement.
That's true.
It's just how it is. You're going to want to do things. You're going to want to go to, even if you're not a traveler, you may want to go to concert. We've had big concerts in Columbus this past year. If you want to do that, that's a pretty big expense to do that now.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you want to go, camping or, RVing or any of those things you might want to do, we want to include those in those expenses.
Sure.
And then we need to consider how we're going to handle Social Security.
Ooh, big one.
That is a big one because it can be one of the biggest income sources of our retirement years. So how do we take it? When do we take it? Is there a benefit for a husband maybe to claim off his wife for a while and then allow his to grow while that can? And then so there's different ways to do that within the rules and making sure we're maximizing that benefit for our retirement. That's a big one.
Well, and understanding how the taxes are going to work with it, because I mentioned before, maybe reinventing yourself and doing a job in retirement that you enjoy and whatnot, but making sure you're not making too much doing that to put you into that level of having to pay 50% of those benefits. So you want to make sure you're constantly being efficient in those areas for taxes.
Managing debt. Now, the preference would be we go into retirement with no debt.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not. We've met with families recently who are now raising another generation. It's called their grandchildren because of life events that have happened in their family. It's out of their control. They're not going to shirk responsibility that's potentially there, and so they're now trying to get grandkids prepared for college and things like this. And this was something that they didn't see coming, and so now they've got. We've had people come in with college debt in their mid-70s because they're helping grandchildren. So this is stuff we're seeing, and it's heartbreaking, but nevertheless we have to be prepared for whatever life throws at us. And that's why having a plan that looks at everything and covers the 3 buckets of money. So we have our emergency money, we have our income money, and we have our growth money. And when life happens, we have resources and reserves that we can tap into so that we're not having to live to the last penny. And that's really a core key. And then health insurance.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
that's
big one.
big.
Health insurance. Now, if you're 65, then you're eligible in most cases for Medicare. And then you have to choose, okay, do I want a Medicare supplement insurance policy, or do I want to go with a Medicare Advantage plan? And we have a resource. It's someone that I've worked with since 1994. It's hard to believe.
Oh my gosh.
I know, 29 years now.
That's amazing.
And that's his focus. He only does Medicare.
Okay.
And he's a resource. He's just been doing it so long, he knows more than I ever, he's forgotten more than I ever know. I did a Kristen, I only got it backwards. But
We knew what
I
you
get my
meant.
sayings backwards all the time.
oh my goodness. And so understanding that and making sure, but then what if there's a long-term
Yes.
healthcare need?
Yes.
Not everybody
True.
can afford to buy long-term care insurance, or not everybody even wants to buy long-term care insurance. So there are alternatives. And we help people. We just had a family in a couple weeks ago, and they were really concerned about long-term care. And I said, okay, I'm going to send you 4 options. So we gave them an option of traditional long-term care insurance. We gave them an option of the 10-pay, where after 10 years it's paid up. We gave them an option for life insurance that can help pay for long-term care, and one where there was an income doubler for long-term care. And so I said, it doesn't matter to us which of these you choose, but here's some of the options that are available to you. And then they were able to choose. And they're able to decide, okay, this is what we think we can afford, and this is how we choose to handle this potential expense. That's all part of a retirement plan.
Absolutely.
It's not just your money. In fact, if you think a retirement plan is just your money, then you can end up losing your money because you haven't planned for the other things that can happen.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah, so all those things combined, I think, go into the next part, and that's consulting with the professional. So not just a financial professional, but someone that does accounting, if you're needing to be more tax efficient, an estate planning professional, or elder care if you're needing to look into that as being an option, that you're something that you're dealing with your personal situation. But consulting with professionals, and that doesn't mean that, so I think a lot of times the stigma is if you go to a professional, they're going to take over and they're going to be the boss and they're going to tell you what to do. I don't think that's not, at least not how we look at it. We look at it as coming alongside of you and helping you through this thing called retirement, and seeing what questions you might have, helping educate you so that you feel empowered to make good decisions for you and your family. And along the way, maybe showing you things that you didn't think of.
Sure.
Right? Well, I think it was, you and I were talking, you just don't know what to ask sometimes.
That's true.
And so going through this process of looking at all these items we've marked through and saying, okay, as we go through these things, these are the questions I have in each of these areas, and consulting with somebody that you get along with that makes sense for your family situation.
We know, Kristen, we just had a family in, and we do this pretty much with every family, but as they fill out their My Retirement Kit, there's a section where we ask them what their preferences are and what they're most concerned about and what they want help with. And so at our first meeting, we call that the discovery meeting, we're going through that page to truly understand what they're thinking. So what concerns you about probate? Or what about lifetime income interests you? Or I see here you marked blended growth because you want some of your money to be protected, but you're willing to take moderate volatility with part of it as well. Can you help me understand how that feels to you? And so now we can go through that kit together. We can really dive in and understand how they're feeling, because the plan is not for us. The plan's for them.
That's true.
And,
Absolutely.
I told you I work with a functional medicine doctor.
Yes.
Every Saturday, I get the same 4 questions from him. Did you deviate from your diet? Okay. I have to answer this question, okay? How were your workouts?
Okay.
How many days did you do cardio? Are you experiencing any concerns? Every single Saturday. And I have to go through and answer those questions every Saturday. And I have to tell them, okay, yeah, I went to Dairy Queen with the kids.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to have dairy, but I did have, a large vanilla cone because that's what I get when I go to
You
Dairy
couldn't order
Queen.
a small one.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I'm going, I'm go big or go home. I
Right?
mean, really.
You may as well.
So, but I mean, the same thing with your advisor is, okay, let's go along together. Let's go through this, and I want to understand how you truly feel so that I can actually help you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Greg, there's a very special offer you and Kristen are providing to our viewers at home today. Let's talk about what that is.
Well, the big thing about going alongside of somebody is to know, I've been down the path for 30 years, and so I can help guide you through a path. And we call it the complete planning review because we can review the 5 core areas, your investment strategy, making sure it's retirement focused, your income plan, making sure it's poised to last your lifetime, a tax strategy to help you disinherit Uncle Sam, a healthcare plan to help protect you from losing everything if one of you needs a nursing home someday, and a estate plan that allows you to make sure things go to the people you love, not Uncle Sam and not the court system when something happens to you. And look, we do this at no obligation. Our team of fiduciaries behind the scenes will help us. We have an entire group and a team that helps us build a plan specifically for you. So the first 10 callers, pick up the phone. We're happy to help, 614-336-7660.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number is 614-336-7660. We know that you have a lot of questions and concerns about potentially planning your retirement. Greg and Kristen have the answers for you. Don't miss this opportunity to call in today. Or if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, click it on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Winning Retirement. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have a viewer question. Stay tuned.
Living a life is building a legacy. A legacy of milestones, your first home, raising your children, becoming grandparents, and memories. From the first steps across the living room floor to the walk down the aisle, at every stage, your family is the most important part of your life, and you want to protect them, now and in the future. Which is why the decisions you make today are so important. You've worked hard to provide a better life for your loved ones. Now is the time to make sure that lasts. Build a legacy that will influence generations to come. Plan smart. Retire well with Legacy Retirement Group.
And welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. This is my favorite part of the show. We typically get to do a viewer question, but today we actually have a radio question to ask you. This is one of your radio call-ins.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. So I have $3 million saved in various accounts through the years. I'm 67. My wife is younger. She's 57. She has always stayed home. I think that I'm about ready to retire, but I'm not sure. We have no debt, but I still need to have a steady amount of income coming in to fund our lifestyle. What should I be looking at first when thinking about retiring? Thinking first.
Wow, what should I think about first? And I think men think differently about the first thing than women do, in general. But the first thing you want to do is understand where you stand in all the areas of retirement. So in other words, take inventory. Take inventory of how much risk you're taking. Because if you save $3 million, you're already ahead of the game.
Okay.
Okay? So the big thing is we don't want to fumble the ball. We don't want to make a huge mistake now that you're this close to retirement.
Makes sense.
Okay? Don't want to lose big money. The second is have a solid income strategy.
Okay.
How much income do you truly need, and how are we going to you replace that income? How are we going to put that in place so you feel confident? Thirdly, how much of that $3 million is in tax deferred? So how much of that has not been taxed yet and so is exposed to future tax and legislative risk? Because legislative risk is the risk that the government can change the rules. Now, maybe some people totally trust the government and they just think they're all in love with us and want to do everything that's best.
Said sarcastically.
And others maybe don't quite trust everything that's going on in Washington, D.C. Okay? We have to think about health care and how we deal with that. And then make sure we have a solid estate plan. So once we've taken all those inventories of where things are, then we start step by step fixing the things where there's a gap. Okay? So whether you're taking more risk than you're comfortable with or that you should take at this point in your life, okay, we need to adjust that. Whether or not you've got a solid income plan, okay, let's make sure we put one in place. If you've got $1 million or more in tax deferred assets, IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, things like that, now we need to start thinking about a strategy to get some of that or all of it over to tax-free. Healthcare, making sure we've really accounted for that. And if you've got, so many times, even our successful folks, business people, business owners, have estate documents that are 20 plus years old, or they don't have a will at all, or they don't have a power of attorney, or things like that. Getting those things in place, because that's going to be huge to make sure that you're ready to take this next step, which is retirement. And we want retirement to be awesome.
We want you to win in retirement.
We do.
Absolutely. Greg, thank you so much. What an excellent response. Kristen, I know there's a very special offer that you and Greg are presenting today to our viewers at home. Let's talk about what that is. We have about a minute left of the show.
Yeah, so I know we've offered our complete planning review, and that's still available to our callers at 614-336-7660. But I wanted to mention another resource that we have available. Greg mentioned briefly their taxes. That's one of the biggest concerns. We get question after question, call-ins from radio and TV about taxes. And so we have a resource available. If you go to testmyretirement.com, you can click on a button that says Learn More, and you're able to input some of the numbers, so the dollars you've saved, the tax statuses of those dollars, and within a couple minutes get an idea of what your obligation's going to be, and that's a good resource so that you can start moving towards having a successful, tax-efficient retirement.
Kristen, thank you so much. Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us today. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor.